Double D's by J.D. Brewer. I hate it when he does that, when he says it in just that way, slightly nasally with a hint of authoritative bass. In fact, the sentence is its own orchestra heard long before it's even said. Might I suggest? The almighty mighty might, the politely inconsiderate derivative of the more sincere may, in a sentence that never considers the concept that might, by nature, just might be a little too mighty for the situation at hand. Followed by I, wearing suits from the big and tall store, imposing his imposition, because this situation is obviously more about his I than my me. And don't get me started on a word like suggest. As if it really needs two G's standing like bouncers, taking up more space than deserved, with their broad shoulders and bald heads and goatees that jut inward. Doubly redundant, doubly unavoidable. Why not replace the second with a J? Then at least I could recognize the jest inside the cockeyed joke meant to be my social savior. He of the experienced, who feels called to help guide little ol' me through the big bad world. Obviously. And here it comes, the great inglorious tidbit of knowledge from a man far smarter than me. Might I suggest? I see the dots hover in the space between us, connecting his big words from his big brain to his big mouth. You wear a shirt with less cleavage? Does your husband know you wore that out? People are staring when you play pool. By people, he means men, with eyes that zero in like honing darts, with the audacity to think I wore this shirt for them, that I'm bending over a pool table for them, that I grew my chest for them. Me, of the small stature and gargantuan breast, who cried in 7th grade when I bloomed into C-cups and the clever boys called me jugs, who cried before prom because there were no gowns for the well-endowed petite, who cried after soccer games when the 3 sports bras did little to contain them and teammates needed nasty knots along my spine that could not support the weight up front, who cried when I had surgery to chop them off so I could finally be normal, who cried when they grew back to double D's, D's that stood like bouncers, guarding my face from the possibility of ever being seen again. They are bouncers, all right. Bouncing when I sit, bouncing when I walk, bouncing when I run, so that I worry one day they will bounce right up and hit me in the face and give me black eyes. Might he suggest? What? That I wear something less revealing? Perhaps a turtleneck on this boiling Texas night, or a blanket wrapped around my entire body like a mummy. Or maybe I should never leave the house again without my husband on my arm to protect me from all the staring. Yeah, that would work, obviously. I think about letting it slide. He was only trying to be helpful. He was only trying to be honest. He was only trying to be protective. But I can't just keep sliding through the suggestive suggestions of his discomfort. Because these days, I wear my cleavage proudly. My bra helps the girls hold their heads up high and without shame of the gravity threatening to pull them down. I wear my cleavage like a red badge of courage in this war called femininity, in a world that tries without success to define it. I wear my cleavage for the 14-year-old with double D's crying in the bathroom because the clever boys call her jugs, who now thinks the only thing the world will ever see again are the planets orbiting her chest. I wear my cleavage for me, and sometimes for my husband, because he never dictates my wardrobe or disrespects the canyon that travels between the two large gelatinous mountains, earning him the right to such admiration. But mostly, I wear my cleavage for my past self that is still crying, and my future self that refuses to ever cry again for the genetic gifts I never asked for. Now I have my own suggestions, my own eyes, my own mighty mites. Now I don't hesitate or simper or laugh it off as ignorance. No, now I say, might I suggest? And I let the dots hover in the space between us, connecting my big boobs to my big brain to my big mouth. You start wearing a brown bag over your ugly dick ass face and promptly go fuck yourself. Most of the photos for this video came from a stock photo website called Gratisography. Most of the photos were taken by a man named Ryan McGeary. I've never met Ryan McGeary. I realized that most of his pictures of the man in this video are either himself, a close friend, or a family member. Whoever this man is in real life, his image is merely a representation within this poem. And this video by no means suggests he, the actual person, is a jerk face. Whoever you are, please forgive me and thank you for being a good sport.